They ended up blowing their engine. They were on the highway. Next thing they knew, the temperature was at the H and the engine stopped running. They have the radiator that dissipates the heat. They have some type of cooling fan that sucks air through it when you're going at lower speed, and your engine's going to overheat. So it's a good idea, just for peace of mind, every 4 or 5 years, change your thermostat.
Did you know that a tiny drip from your car's cooling system could spiral into thousands of dollars in repair bills? And it might happen faster than you'd think. In today's video, we'll uncover why ignoring that harmless leak is like setting a ticking time bomb in your engine, and how you can stop it before it's too late. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Imagine this. You're driving down the highway, the engine humming smoothly, when suddenly, without warning, it overheats. Steam pours out from under the hood, and just like that, your day, and possibly your wallet, takes a turn for the worse. Now here's the kicker. In many cases, this kind of disaster starts with something as innocent as a single drop of coolant lost to a tiny, almost invisible leak. That's the nature of the cooling system in your car. It's a silent protector, keeping your engine from destroying itself under the intense heat of combustion. But because it works out of sight and usually without drama, we tend to ignore it. And that's a dangerous mistake. You see, your cooling system acts as a crucial temperature regulator for your engine. Without it, the heat produced by your car's internal combustion can climb to levels high enough to damage vital components beyond repair. Yet, it rarely gets the attention it deserves. Oil changes? Sure, we're told those are critical. But coolant? When was the last time someone emphasized its importance? The truth is, neglecting this system is like walking past a crack in a dam. It never seems like a big deal until it's too late. The biggest problem is that the threats to your cooling system are subtle. Small leaks, improper coolant mixtures, or coolant that hasn't been replaced in years can slowly chip away at the system's effectiveness. It may start with tiny drops of fluid pooling underneath your car, or the coolant losing its optimal chemical balance. Over time, the cumulative effect of these issues grows, quietly jeopardizing the life of your engine without you realizing it. And when the problems escalate, they don't do so gradually. They erupt. Take this real-world example. A driver notices a faint, sweet smell around their car, but brushes it off as nothing serious. A few weeks later, the temperature gauge on the dash spikes during a routine commute. By the time the car is pulled to a stop, the engine is already critically overheated. The culprit? A barely detectable leak in the radiator that had gone unchecked, draining coolant slowly over time. That small oversight snowballed into a repair bill that exceeded $2,000. Replacing the radiator alone wasn't enough. The engine had warped due to the excessive heat and required extensive repairs. This isn't just a one-off scenario either. Stories like this are surprisingly common in repair shops across the country. According to research shared by Powerhouse Motors, approximately 2/3 of engine overheating cases are tied to cooling system failures. This includes leaks, faulty thermostats, degraded hoses, or simply a lack of coolant. Main Street Mechanic also corroborates this, emphasizing that skipping regular maintenance, like replacing old coolant, can lead to corrosion that clogs the system. Let that sink in. It's not just one big failure that causes major damage. It's often preventable issues piling up over time. So, how can you spot trouble before it's too late? The good news is, your car might already be giving you clues. Temperature gauge fluctuations are one of the clearest signs, but they're often dismissed. After all, gauges can vary slightly based on driving conditions. Don't make the mistake of assuming it's meaningless. Another telltale sign is finding puddles of liquid under your car after it sits parked, which many ignore, thinking it's just condensation from the AC system. And then there's the sweet smell, a classic warning that coolant is leaking and burning off on a hot engine. A red flag no one should ignore. Catch these signs early, and you could save yourself from costly repairs down the line. But what happens if you miss these warnings and engine overheating has already begun? That's where things start to escalate quickly, and knowing the right steps can make a world of difference. For now, though, it's important to understand that keeping your cooling system in check is your first and most effective line of defense against overheating. Whether it's topping off coolant, flushing and replacing it on schedule, or regularly inspecting hoses and clamps for wear, these simple actions can prevent you from facing a mechanical catastrophe. When your temperature gauge climbs to that dreaded red H zone, the stakes couldn't be higher. Every second matters because the more you delay, the more intense the damage becomes. An overheating engine doesn't just stop working, it destroys itself from the inside. Vital components, like cylinder heads, can warp from the extreme heat, leaving you with a bill that just keeps growing. And in some cases, the damage becomes so severe that you're looking at an entire engine replacement, which could easily cost more than your car's current value. But here's the scary part. Too many drivers react the wrong way. They keep pushing forward, thinking they'll just make it home. That's not only risky, it's the surest way to turn a manageable issue into a catastrophic one. The urge to keep driving is understandable. You figure it's just a few more minutes, and stopping now feels inconvenient or even dangerous if you're on the highway. But the reality is, driving even a short distance when your engine is overheating could mean dire consequences. The excessive heat builds fast, cracking engine blocks, blowing head gaskets, or seizing internal components. That choice to push your luck for a few more miles can so easily cross the threshold of repairable and leave you with a completely totaled engine. So what should you do the second you see that temperature gauge spike? The first step is simple but essential. Turn off your air conditioning. The AC puts additional strain on your engine, increasing its workload and, in turn, generating more heat. Shutting it off may feel like a small thing, but it's like cutting off a weight that's dragging your engine deeper into trouble. Main Street Mechanics specifically points out that this one step allows your cooling system to start catching up before the heat spirals out of control. Next, kick the heater to full blast. Yes, even in summer. Set it to the hottest setting and crank the fan to high. As counterintuitive as this might sound, your car's heater core is essentially a miniature radiator. By pushing heat into the cabin, you're helping to pull heat away from the engine itself. Several mechanics, including those at Just Answer, note that while this doesn't feel good for you as the driver, it can significantly slow the rate of overheating. Think of it as rerouting the problem just enough to give the engine some relief. If you're sitting in traffic or at a stoplight, the next step is to shift the car into neutral or park and gently press on the accelerator to raise the engine RPM to about 2,000. This helps pump the coolant through the system more quickly, improving circulation and giving your radiator a better chance at doing its job. But be careful. This isn't the time to rev the engine aggressively. Raising RPMs too high could worsen the situation. What you're doing here is increasing efficiency, not adding stress. According to Main Street Mechanic, this strategy works because it prioritizes coolant movement within the system, which is absolutely crucial when overheating begins. Now here's the critical part, timing yourself. All of these steps, turning off the AC, cranking the heat, and managing your RPMs, are only meant to buy you time. They're not a permanent fix, and they won't stop damage entirely if the overheating persists. That's why you need to act fast. If the temperature gauge doesn't start to drop within about 2 minutes, it's time to pull over. No exceptions. Shut off the engine immediately and let it cool down. Pushing it just a little further multiplies your risk of a blown head gasket, melted seals, or even a cracked engine block. Powerhouse Motors has emphasized repeatedly that many drivers fail to recognize how irreversible this damage becomes if cooling isn't prioritized right away. Your car's cooling system isn't just another component. It's the barrier between a thriving engine and a mechanical disaster. Regular maintenance is key to keeping it that way. Skipping essential upkeep, like replacing coolant every 30,000 to 60,000 miles, invites corrosion and sludge into the system, setting your engine up for failure. Repairs from neglect can cost thousands, with head gasket replacements alone running as high as $2,500. Avoiding these issues starts with simple steps. Check for leaks, replace old coolant, and schedule routine flushes. Your cooling system is your engine's lifeline. Don't wait for a crisis to teach you this lesson.